Hi! Welcome to Surviving Schizophrenia with Stephen. My name is Stephen. I hope you are having a wonderful day. Today, I'm here with my dad.
I'm Steve, Stephen's dad.
And we're going to be talking about anxiety and schizophrenia, as well as how my holidays went and the 2 parties I attended, as well as what we have in store for my channel in the new year.
So Stephen so that's an outline of where this video is going. It's the last video of the year, 2022. And of course we are wishing you a happy new year. Of course. This will be released right before the end of the year. And so that is the sequence for this video, talking about anxiety in schizophrenia. And then because Stephen has a dual diagnosis. Mm-hmm. We'll talk about that, and we'll talk about how Stephen handled and dealt with his anxiety and schizophrenia during the holidays with the 2 parties that he attended and we attended as well. And then, of course, going into, after that, the managing stress during the holidays, and then talking about the channel, really a channel update, where, how it got started and where he's been with the channel, Surviving Schizophrenia, and where it's going in 2023. So that's going to be very exciting.
Yes, it is.
So you've got, so Stephen, you do have a dual diagnosis.
I do, yes.
So it's, it's something we don't really consider much, but in January of 2013, Stephen was diagnosed with both an anxiety disorder and schizophrenia. And so just to bring you up to date, Stephen fell ill and was hospitalized in May of 2012. He was hospitalized at UCLA Neuropsychiatric Hospital and diagnosed upon discharge 14 days later, at the end of May of 2012, with schizophreniform disorder. Now, Stephen had serious anxiety during this time and over the course of the last 10 years, but especially the first 4 years after onset of psychosis. Again, onset was early 2012. So anxiety, what is anxiety in schizophrenia? Well, people with schizophrenia, suffering from schizophrenia, often have anxiety.
We do, we generally do.
Associated with that. Many, I would say probably most have that. Although not everyone that has anxiety and schizophrenia is diagnosed with a separate anxiety disorder. So schizophrenia is a neuropsychiatric disorder. It is the prototypical psychosis. Anxiety, on the other hand, anxiety disorder, is also a mental illness. That doesn't mean that everyone with anxiety has a mental illness. No. Anxiety is part of what all I think human beings have.
Yes, everyone has some anxiety about something in their lives.
Right, and it only becomes diagnosed as a disorder, and there are a number of different anxiety disorders, like obsessive compulsive disorders is a type of an anxiety disorder. It only becomes diagnosed as an anxiety disorder if it's severe enough to meet the criteria of the DSM. And so on January 30th, 2013, there was a clinical assessment of Stephen at UCLA, that's the University of California, Los Angeles, and in a report written a couple months later, and after that assessment, there was a number of assessments they did, but it was culminated in January 30th of 2013, and UCLA diagnosed Stephen with schizophrenia undifferentiated and anxiety disorder not otherwise specified. So anxiety disorders in schizophrenia, anxiety is it's one of the most common mental illnesses.
Yeah.
But as I said earlier, it's not necessarily a mental illness unless it becomes essentially debilitating.
Right. Which for me it was.
Right. So what does anxiety disorder feel like? It's feeling tense, nervous, unable to relax.
Yeah, you never feel calm. You never really feel rested if you're sleeping even. You could sleep, I sleep for a long time even now. But especially when I was at my worst with my anxiety, I could sleep for 10 hours, 12 hours and wake up and feel like I didn't get any sleep because I could never relax. I could never calm down. So
I want to read to you a portion of the diagnosis that was set forth in the clinical assessment by UCLA in January of 2013. And it says that SL, this is Stephen, continues to endorse experiencing psychotic level hallucinations and a severe level of negative symptomatology. Now I'll skip down here after it says this is consistent with schizophrenia. So he was diagnosed at the time with schizophrenia. And it also says SL endorsed a severe and debilitating level of anxiety. And I think this is where the anxiety diagnosis came in, particularly related to being in the presence of others.
Yeah.
Because of these symptoms are not well characterized by a diagnosis of social phobia or generalized anxiety disorder, SL, which is Stephen, meets criteria for anxiety disorder, not otherwise specified. SL endorsed episodic changes to his mood and depressive symptoms that are consistent with the manifestation of schizophrenia and were not severe enough to warrant a separate, specific mood-related diagnosis. So, in one of the medications that Stephen has been prescribed for the last 8 or 9 years has been Lexapro, which is an antidepressant, and it's very effective at reducing anxiety.
Yeah.
And in addition, the atypical antipsychotics are also prescribed, even for those without schizophrenia, but those with some types of anxiety disorders. The atypical antipsychotics, along with antidepressants, are prescribed for those individuals as well. So again, when the symptoms of anxiety in schizophrenia or otherwise reach the symptomatic syndrome level, a person suffering from schizophrenia can have a separate and independent diagnosis of anxiety disorder. And that's Stephen's situation. So
Yeah.
he's had the 2 diagnoses since 2013, and in the holidays we had 2 parties. One was a gathering with friends here at the home. There were about 9 of us together.
Yeah.
And the second one was a gathering of family and friends at that family's house.
Yes.
And so, Stephen, how did those go? Those were in the last week or so.
Yeah, they went very well. I'm sure they went way better, as you probably noticed, than any year prior since my schizophrenia. Would you agree with that?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I thought Stephen did wonderful. Did you have to take any special medication like the?
No, I didn't end up taking any medication other than my usual meds. And, well, the family friends that came over, like you said, there were about 9 of us in total. They were here for, how many?
About
6 hours.
6 hours.
Yeah.
Right. So Stephen did exceptionally well. They arrived around 6:30.
Yeah, and of course, I've known them, all but one of them, since I was born, pretty much. The other one would be the older one's fiance, the older child's fiance, who I've known for a few years now. But yeah, it went very well. We ate together. That was the only part that was really stressful for me. We were all eating together at the table, for example, or even before that with appetizers. At times I would just look at it like.
Right, but this is the hopeful part, and that's why we want this to be a very hopeful video, and hopefully
because even though I was doing that, which you may notice, I used to do that a lot more, and it used to be way worse. I used to have to excuse myself, go use the bathroom, and stay there for as long as humanly possible while not seeming strange, to essentially escape and avoid the stressful situation. I didn't do any of that this time, and we talked for a very long time at the table. Actually ended up talking about what everyone was doing, and my dad even mentioned, or asked me rather, what I was doing, and that led to a whole discussion about this channel and schizophrenia in general, and that was actually really cool to be able to talk openly about my illness and this channel, because it's not something that really has happened ever before.
Right, I mean, it was amazing this year because in other years, Stephen would have to go to the restroom 5-6 times during the evening, would be gone a lot into his room or the TV room.
Go get a tissue repeatedly
Right,
to just get away from the stress.
Right, we just wouldn't see him around, and he wouldn't be able to deal. In other words, he would not be able to deal with sitting at the dinner table with 5 or 6 other friends, and even for 15 minutes, even for 10 minutes. This holiday season, Stephen sat there for about 2 hours. There was no issues, as Stephen said. We talked, and came up to speed on what everyone else had been doing this last year, and talked a lot about what Stephen's been doing. And so it's extremely amazing. It's a miracle what's happened with Stephen. He has come so far. In that first 4 years of illness, his anxiety and symptoms of schizophrenia were so severe that he was actually in a research project at UCLA for 4 years.
CAPS, C-A-P-P-S.
Right, so it was a research project, and they interviewed us as parents. Actually, we were videotaped interviewed several times as part of that 4-year process. And they did brain scans on Stephen as part of the research.
They also did just regular cognitive stuff, where it'd be like they'd put shapes in front of me and they'll be like tap, 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 and then I had to repeat what they did, then repeat it backwards, stuff like that.
Right, a lot of neuropsychological testing occurred over the 4 years, and that's how this one report came out on January 30th of 2013. That's a lengthy report. We have other ones every 6 months that they will provide to us. Stephen was assigned a research number. We agreed as part of the research project which is typical, that we would not have access to the findings, although they would do the psychological testing and provide that to us. So we benefited because we got the psychological testing over the 4 years at UCLA, separate from the other psychological testing we did here. And Stephen did that to benefit society, and we did that to benefit society. And again, it'd be interesting to get the brain scans. They did brain scans and a bunch of other tests, but again, we agreed not to be able to access that information. That was just part of their research. So
but that was the tangent there.
Yeah, but the hope here is that Stephen's illness was so severe for 4 years that he has that first 4 years was really a struggle. So if you're struggling with a loved one that has schizophrenia, it can be a long, it's going to be a long process. It's a journey, right? It's not a destination. It's a journey, and that's, I think, one of the things we're trying to take into 2023 in the new year is this is a journey. We have so many wonderful comments that have said. Some of the comments have said that Stephen, you're great the way you are, and you are, Stephen. You're great. You don't need to be any different. You don't need to be do anything other than what you're doing. And so we do have to be careful not to stress Stephen out. These videos have been therapeutic but stressful.
Stressful, therapeutic, cathartic. Yeah. Right. And those comments of yours, they just, it's hard even. It means so much to me. I get emotional. It just brightens my day when I see a comment like that. If I am having a hard day, sometimes I will go to the comments. I can see that, everyone's so supportive of what I'm doing. It's absolutely amazing. I appreciate all of you.
And we've seen this emotion. You just saw Stephen there got a little emotional, and we haven't seen that emotion in Stephen in the last decade. It's been a very long time. We got a comment recently of whether she had prayed that Stephen had experienced some joy this holiday season. And when Stephen showed me that, we talked about it. I said, Stephen, yeah, you have experienced joy, right? I didn't want to put words in his mouth, and I didn't. And he said, yeah, I have. And so he commented back. This was a comment just a couple of days ago. And it's amazing that, yes, because it's that lack of joy, the lack of feeling of being able to have feelings. I think it's been part of the negative symptomatology for sure. That Stephen has suffered with in the last 10 years. But the issue of hope is that there is hope. When Stephen fell ill and I saw the severity of the psychosis that Stephen was in, and that the length of time the duration of psychosis, which was in Stephen's case almost 1.5 years, I felt that it was going to be 5 or 6 years before we achieved any type of movement or improvement. And that was the case. Actually, it was really 7 years. And it's only been in this last year or so, excuse me, where we've just really seen Stephen come back. So if you have a loved one suffering from schizophrenia that has serious symptoms, positive or negative symptoms of the illness, there is hope, because Stephen's medication has not changed. And let's get that to you right here. Excuse me, because I think it's important to know what he's on. He's on 5 milligrams of Lexapro.
Yes.
and 5 of Abilify.
Yes, and 175 milligrams of clozapine.
Right, he's taking that all at night at about 8:30. Excuse me. And so that has not changed in 7 years. And Stephen has now come back because the second of Christmas Day, we had dinner with family, and there were maybe 20 of us there.
Yeah.
And again, Stephen did phenomenally well. I don't think you would be able to see that he had any type of mental illness. That's how well he did. We were there for about 5 to 6 hours.
Yeah.
And in any other year, Stephen would not have been able to stay that long.
That's true.
Other years, we'd go and maybe Maria would stay or I would stay, and one of us would take you back home after maybe about an hour. You know, they live about 40 minutes from here.
And actually, I think you were the one that was like getting tired and stuff.
Yes.
Before me.
Yeah.
About needing to get home.
Yeah. But I love the expression, Stephen. I love the fact that you're able to have that emotional expression again. I see that in you, Stephen. We are blessed as a mom and dad. We are blessed to have that, and obviously you are blessed to have that range of emotion coming back.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's not where it was before.
No.
But so that's the wow. And then New Year's Eve coming up. That's the other issue. So then we're going to go on to the channel update. But let's talk about New Year's Eve coming up. So as we go into New Year's here in a couple days, that I anticipate. We've talked about that, Stephen. We talked about it the last few days, right? Mm-hmm. About how would that be stressful when we're here with New Year's? What's going to go on for New Year's first?
I think for New Year's we're just staying here.
Yeah, just the 3 of us. Yeah.
Which has happened plenty of times in the past. And it is hard. The holidays are hard for me, but New Year's is the hardest. Because that is when everyone in the whole world is supposed to be happy and joyful. There's a new year coming, New Year's resolutions, this and that. And I'm just not usually happy then, because I can't reciprocate that same emotion like that.
Well, that's a good way to phrase it.
I just am not as happy as they look.
Right. I think that with the negative symptoms of schizophrenia and also with just an anxiety and not being able to participate in life like other people are able to participate, there's that that depression and anxiety sets in.
I mean, sometimes often I'd say I don't make it till midnight. I just go to sleep.
Right.
Sad.
We're in California on the West Coast, so sometimes we do the East Coast.
The ball dropping in New York.
The New York ball drops. It'll be 9 o'clock our time, so it won't be too late.
But don't even make it to that.
Right, and if we have typically in the last couple of years not had people over because it's a highly stressful time for Stephen. Everyone maybe have the blowers and hats on and
drinking their hands.
Yep, having some champagne, and Stephen has schizophrenia.
Yeah.
I mean, and Stephen can't take that noise. I mean, we still cannot eat dinner with Stephen alone. And when he's here alone and we're having dinner, we don't eat. Maria and I don't eat dinner with Stephen because just the noise. Even we use plastic a lot of times, but we still can't have eat dinner with Stephen because it causes just too much stress in there. Not only noise, but
and seeing.
Right, seeing. It's not only the noise. We've had some comments about this. We're going to cover this in other videos. It's not simply the noise. No. It's the thought of us eating and chewing.
Yeah.
Right?
Like even if I just hear like a little ding, and in my head I just think about them eating, or anyone for that matter. And just that thought stresses me out more than even the sound did.
Right. So.
Which is why, some people have said. Use like a wooden utensil or something you can eat with them, and that doesn't really work because it's more than just the utensils and the sound.
Right. I mean, I
it's
can't.
Also the chewing
if
and all that.
If Stephen comes into the kitchen, for example, and I'm eating a marshmallow, right, where there's essentially no sound, but Stephen sees that I'm chewing something, that's a problem. Yeah. That creates anxiety within Stephen.
It does.
So we know that it's been an ongoing issue for the last 10 years. Mm-hmm. But Stephen's able to put that at bay while we have with company, and that's why you're able to sit with company and overcome that.
I think as I've put it a long time ago, I try to hold it in and just keep it in until I can release it some other way.
Right.
So I hold in all the stress like a sponge, and then I go play a video game later that day, the next day, and just release that stress that way by just playing a game, doing something fun, and that recharges the battery, I guess you could say.
But I can tell you as Stephen's father, that Stephen this year has done phenomenally better. Much better, you will. Oh my gosh. You just can't imagine how much better he's done. So something's happened there in the brain. Something's happened, I think in part this channel, we've covered this before about neuroplasticity in the brain, and Stephen with the channel has a purpose in life. He has, your comments are coming
which
in.
are giving me a good sense of accomplishment, self-worth. I don't know, just really those two are the big ones.
Yeah.
Happiness.
And it's amazing how that has changed. So that's something to keep in mind with your loved ones.
For sure.
And it's hard because we didn't, we tried to have Stephen engaged in activities before the channel, but things didn't really turn
It never worked.
No, things didn't turn until this year. So, and that brings us into the channel.
Oh, I was going to say also, even things like that are fun that I've tried to do in the past since I became ill, to do something different than just be staring at a screen. Like guitar, I've tried that a few times, twice I believe now. Mm-hmm. And then I just stopped because I couldn't deal with it, I guess. It's too even stressful to do something like that for a long period of time. Right. Of course, then the channel came along and that all changed.
Right, and I think that, so let's talk about the channel, because this is really, we've kind of titled this next section of this video, Channel Update, where Stephen's been and where he's going with surviving schizophrenia. And the channel's first birthday was 2 days ago, December 26th.
As of recording.
Yeah, as of recording. December 26th. If you look on the About section of Surviving Schizophrenia, there's that column about what's on the right side.
On the channel page, you can find.
Right.
Yeah.
So
however, even though I started 2021, December 26th, 2021, I didn't post anything until February 24th or something like that.
At the end of February.
I just wanted to secure the name, which at the time was My Life Surviving Schizophrenia.
Yeah, so let's start.
Which has changed, as you know, now to Surviving Schizophrenia.
So let's start back, Stephen. Where on the channel? Where's the channel been? So when did you decide to start the channel?
Okay.
And
so a little history, I guess, of the channel. On Father's Day of 2021, my mom and dad and I had gone to visit my grandfather for Father's Day. Father's Day is also my dad too. And it was a good day, though I don't remember much of it. I do remember that was the last time, that was the last Father's Day I had with my grandfather. So that's very meaningful to me. But on the way back, it's a long drive, maybe an hour and a half or so.
It's about an hour and a half drive out there.
Yeah.
So.
And I was wondering, just out of the blue, kind of like, I wonder if there's anything about schizophrenia on Google, on the internet.
So you were on your phone while we were in the car?
Yes, I was on my phone in the backseat. And I was wondering more specifically, like, is there anything out there by people that have schizophrenia?
Had you researched that before?
Never something I felt like I don't know why that happened that day, but it was never something I wanted to look at before because it was too stressful. And I've never before then read anything about schizophrenia, for the most part. Never wanted to, and nothing like that. And I didn't find much on Google, but then I went to YouTube. And I found someone whose channel name, I believe, is Living Well with Schizophrenia.
Right, Lauren, Living Well with Schizophrenia.
Her name is Lauren, yes. We don't know her or anything, but I thought that was really cool that she was doing essentially what I'm kind of doing now. And that kind of inspired me to be like, hey, well, if she's doing this, and at the time I couldn't find anyone else, though there are a few others, what if I did it? Like, why not? What's stopping me? I have time on my hands. Huh.
I think that's so cool. I didn't find out until a couple days ago. Steve and I were discussing this. That actually Lauren was the inspiration. Living Well with Schizophrenia. She and her partner in Canada have an incredible. They're knocking it out of the ballpark. She's doing an incredible job.
Yeah.
Educating. She's had her site, I think, 4 years or so. It's a wonderful site. Again, it's Living Well with Schizophrenia.
And that actually is pretty much what inspired me.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty awesome because we both look at Lauren's site and are subscribed to it. And again, she's an inspiration, and it's inspiring for, as a father to see someone living well with schizophrenia, and I believe she has schizoaffective disorder, which is on the spectrum. And but anyways, that's pretty awesome. So she inspired you?
Yeah. And so now I'm doing that. But it took a good, I guess, to really December before I was ready to start recording anything. And before then I was getting equipment, like camera, that kind of thing, learning how to do all of this. And also figuring out what I wanted to talk about, putting together my ideas, writing it all down. Then I started recording, or test recording on like my iPad, and eventually actual recording on the same camera I'm using right now. And yeah, it was pretty amazing. So
we have some of that early video that never actually got shown. Some of it's just Stephen's eyes, and we were talking.
Well, it's not just of my eyes.
Not just of your eyes. There's all kinds of videos we have of that first 6 months when you were just shooting that. We tried to keep that, and at some point we'll try to put some of that video footage out as it's relevant.
But I think my dad mentioned the eyes because they've changed a lot. Even just in my recovery, my eyes went from maybe more glassy, I'm assuming more like flat. Right, whatever they are now.
There's some people. There's some research supporting the thought that that someone with schizophrenia, you can see that kind of in their eyes. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what we're going to do a video on that. We've been talking about that for a long time, but we want one that's going to be informative and accurate, and we just haven't been able to put that together yet. But there's some research that there is a distinct eye characteristic that that can suggest that someone might have schizophrenia, because there's no physical test for schizophrenia, as you know. It's neuropsychiatric. It's just illness, and it's just it's diagnosed through symptoms. Symptoms and severity and duration of symptoms. Sure. So Stephen, journey making as part of that. So Lauren was the inspiration. That's awesome. Yeah. Shout out to Lauren, living well with schizophrenia, doing an incredible job.
You are
leading the way.
Watch this. You really are. You're doing a great job.
Journey making the videos. And then the journey connecting with you, who are watching. So can you talk a little bit about the journey in making the videos and then connecting with your audience, Stephen?
Yeah, well, I think it covered some of the journey making it already. It took a lot of learning how to actually do YouTube. It's a lot more complicated than I had originally thought. It's not just throw up a video. It's, record the video, edit the video, edit it well, all that stuff you got to learn.
Right. Re-record it sometimes.
Yes, that is true. If it's not good enough, doesn't fit my standards, I re-record.
Right. That's awesome, Stephen.
Thank you, yeah. And it was amazing just to see, even early on, when I first posted my first few videos, people were really supportive, right away. Somebody who has schizophrenia contacted me, or left a comment rather, from France, and that was mind-boggling to me. I was like, wow, someone who has schizophrenia, all the way over in France, is commenting on my video, being supportive of me. That was just amazing. And it's only happened more and more as the channel's grown. Yeah,
so the support, we really appreciate you subscribing and commenting on the videos. Yeah. It's been so therapeutic, as I've said, for Stephen and for me as his father to record these videos, go through his history. And that's one thing I think that has really helped Stephen recover this last year.
And also knowing that we're helping people and we're making a difference. That's so nice.
Right, it is giving. It's in giving that you receive, I think.
Yeah,
back.
That's very true.
That's what's happening here. So, plans for 2023, Stephen. What do you have planned for surviving schizophrenia?
A lot. I think the most exciting thing, and we're not ready just yet, but we've talked about this for a while. I plan to do a live video, or I'll be live, and you can come on and ask me questions, and I will respond to you right there. I think that would be really cool, and a better way to engage with all of you than even just comments on their videos.
Right. So what about monetizing your channel?
Yes.
You're coming up on 1,000 subscribers. What's that?
If you don't know, to get monetized on YouTube, you need 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 what they call public watch hours.
In a year, right?
In a year's time, yeah, I believe that's correct. And I am very close. I have surpassed the watch hours necessary, and I am very close to 1,000 subscribers. I have, I think as of right now, 917. And I'm very excited for that, to actually start making my own money, because that gives me a sense of pride. Will give me a sense of pride, I know. And just, I mean, I've never been able to have a job, so to know I can actually have a job like this and get some sort of pay sounds amazing.
Right. So it's quite amazing. Steve and I have talked about this.
And of course, that's not why I started it, but it is nice to have.
It's an important aspect, and it's an important aspect in Stephen's life. Steve and I discussed this for quite a while, and how we might talk to you about this, or whether we'd even mention it.
Yeah.
And we are mentioning it, and there's going to be follow-up videos on this, because this is Stephen's life. He's 23.
Yeah.
He does not have a bank account.
No.
Okay, so part of the process in getting monetized is when Stephen reaches 1,000 subscribers, he has, I believe, about 4,300 watch hours.
A little over, actually.
Right, in the last 10 months. So he has the watch hours. And what happens in monetization is then you can apply.
Partner, essentially.
Right, you can apply to be a part of the ad partner program. So there's no cost to use it or watch it.
Cost to you through YouTube.
Right, and you're right.
I just get a little bit of kickback.
You get not kickback. Yeah, you get a portion of the
Thank
ad revenue, which is very small. Unless your channel has millions of subscribers and hundreds of thousands of watch hours, it's a small amount of money.
Yes.
But it's important for Stephen, and we'll probably shoot a video on this, because he's going to get a bank account. Right?
Yeah, it's going to be a
credit
big deal
card
for me to have all of this.
Right, you'll have a bank. You'll get your first bank account. You had a savings account before you became ill with schizophrenia. But you were a juvenile.
Minimal. It was maybe $100.
Right.
The very most when it was at the most.
Right. You were not an adult at that time.
No.
Right. So you've not had a bank account. He's not had a bank account since he's been an adult.
And the most money I've ever made was selling little tin art at a store nearby when I was still in here.
Right.
And I made about $4.
Right. So it's part of So you'll get the bank account. You get a bank account. Credit card with a small, $200.
Start building my credit, because that's important.
Exactly. Start building credit and
learning how to actually do all this and handle my money.
And I guess Stephen's going to make me the manager of this.
Yes.
So we'll have we talked a little bit about that. We're going to have some meetings.
Yeah, we're going to start having business meetings.
Yeah. So we're going to have a lot of fun.
Yes.
With the channel, as we have. It is a lot of work. There's no question.
Oh, yeah.
It's very cathartic. As Stephen said, it's excellent. And the hope and goal, it's Stephen's channel, and I think the hope and goal is to have this for many years to come.
And to keep trying to help others and destigmatize schizophrenia and mental illness.
Right. Exactly.
Which is my overall goal since the beginning.
Right. So I think and looking to 2023, it's putting out good, solid videos.
More quality content for you.
Right, quality content that has insights into surviving schizophrenia, but also has, showing how Stephen is doing and living with schizophrenia.
For sure.
So that is the, so with that, please subscribe.
Yes, we haven't really said that before, but it does help us a lot and lets us know that we're doing a good job.
Yeah. And, we so much appreciate you.
We really do.
We wouldn't be here doing this without you.
No.
It's
because of all of you viewing and watching these videos.
If we didn't have viewers, subscribers, this would just be us in front of a camera. No, we wouldn't be doing that. I don't think. So we want to thank you very much. And wish you a happy New Year and just a blessed New Year.
Wish you a very happy New Year.
Be safe this coming year. We're looking forward. Stephen and I are putting out a number of really good videos.
Yes.
We have a number of different topics that just almost unlimited. This has been going on for 10 years now. Stephen went through the IEP process, which is the Individual Education Program, special ed program.
We'll probably be
in the United
discussing
States.
how that works.
Right. He was in that for 6 years. So we have all as far as special education. And disability rights, we have a whole set of videos that we'll do on those areas, but it'll all be related to schizophrenia, surviving serious mental illness, and and giving insight into both parents' view and how a parent can survive this, or a caregiver,
and my view.
Exactly, and how
I've dealt with it.
Right, and how you survive it as someone suffering from the illness. For sure. So
with that, I hope you have a happy and healthy rest of your day.
We'll see you next year.
Yes, and a very happy New Year.
Happy New Year, and we'll see you next year. Thank you very much.
Yes, bye.
Bye.